Well, we're keeping on the theme of citrus, folks, since I started the other day on repotting a lemon tree. And I've been walking past these two kumquat trees, these standards that I've had for eternity. And they've moved with me from every location, and we've cut them back, and they've grown and they've died and they've grown. Anyway, we're at that stage of cycle where they're dying again. And these are because they're potted. And we've got some kalanchoes which have been hit by the frost. So that's cooked. Obviously, kalanchoes are not the best plant to put under a citrus, which admittedly, I know the citrus have got shallow fibrous fruits and it can cause a bit of competition with the smaller, fast growing plants. But I love trialling different things to see how I can solve the problem if there is a problem to solve. Now what we got here is a kumquat standard, and what I'm doing is obviously harvesting all the ripe kumquats. I almost thought about putting one of these in my mouth, meaning eating the whole thing, because I eat them all with skin and everything. I find by eating the skin along with the flesh of the kumquat, it counteracts the acidity and that sort of tarty flavour that comes through. So that's my preference when it comes to eating kumquats. If you like to over-ripen, or you can make a jam or a preserve, do whatever you like with these things, or liqueurs. But anyway, the topic here is, look at it. Well, not look at it. It's yellowing, it's dying. Now I have to remove the fruit, and this is what you should be doing. If you've got a plant that's really yellowing off, it's got flowers and or fruit on it, that are taking away all the energy, because as it's ripening its fruit, all its energy, whatever it can find from the soil, that's all the microbes in the soil, it will push it straight to the fruit to ripen it. So that means all the foliage misses out, and you don't want that happening, because the tree will struggle to regrow and produce more fruit later on. So we've got a bit of dead wood in here, and we've got to cut back the kalanchoe too as well. So first what we're doing here is cleaning all this up. So as we did with the citrus tree, the lemon tree that is, we cut it back to give it some more energy and counteract the loss in strength and vitality through the roots. So I'm taking out all the dead wood that I can see with my naked eye, which are half blind apparently, although I can see a lot of good and bad. You can see a little bit of yellowing in the stem, which is not a good thing. So it's too much moisture in the ground, too cold for it as well, and obviously competing with the kalanchoe at the bottom, which is still alive, but all this woody stuff is gone. So all I'm going to do with this at the moment, before we get back to the citrus on top, is cut this right back here. They do come back again, and they are very much alive. You could say this is almost dormant. You can see the lime green colour in there. You can see it in there, like there, over there as well. It's very much alive, obviously because we've got the green foliage on the end of it. So that's telling you. So the frost and the cold weather's knocked it about, folks. So let's just cut this back, because we don't want it to grow any bigger than that. We want it to bush up again. So we start by the rim. And I'm using the Lowe's number 5, which is a little bit small for this task because I've got so much pruning to do. It's perfect for the size of the timber that I'm cutting, or the wood, but you need something longer that can cut around and grab more of it. Although there's not a lot here to do at the end of the day. So we'll take this top off as well. Now in the past, I would cut these right down almost to ground level. And with the right weather ahead, it is a bit early, folks. Yes, I know it's a bit early, but let me talk to you about timing of things. When it comes to looking after plants, feeding, there's a standard regime we follow. We go every 3 months, depending on the type of plant. You can do it every 6 months. Some plants may need it more regularly. You can do a top dressing of organic matter, like compost, superfood, our blackberry, or you can liquid feed or you can liquid feed on a monthly basis, even fortnightly in some cases. What you do there is reduce the amount that you mix in the liquid fertilizer. So for instance, if you've got 40 ml per 9 litres on a normal application, and if you decide to do it twice as often, you go to 20 mils to 9 litres. So that's reducing the amount of liquid you put into it, so it's not as concentrated, and that way you can use it more regularly and liberally spread it around on the foliage and around the base of the soil. But when it comes to plants that are starting to look like this, well, common sense should prevail. A, for me, walking past it every day, taking my time to repair it is my bad. B, if you do see this problem, act to it straight away. Meaning, do not wait for the end of the season to feed it. Like if you look up the books of when to fertilise a garden, or you do a bit of research, you'll see A lot will say around August, September. You may get a couple in July, depending on the type of plant you're talking about, but mainly August, September. Now, if I was to wait till August, September, which is only around the corner as far as the beginning of August, but getting into springtime, there's a high chance that this plant will drop more leaves, go more yellow, and never recover. You can take that risk, or you can do what I'm doing, is get stuck into it now. If the plant's looking unhealthy, it's not about feeding, it's about attending to the problem. The cause of the problem is in the soil and a little bit of the microclimate above ground. So cold weather, citrus don't like it. Hot weather they love, but they love lots of food. That's what I haven't been doing with these pot specimens, because they're confined. They can't search, they can't populate the microbes in the soil any more than what's in there. And they need the carbon, they need the organic matter, the compost, the planting mix, if anything, so they can get more nutrients back into it, because they need a food source as well. Yes, they do an exchange, but that's not the only amount of nutrients that they obtain from the plant. They get it from the ground. They composting creatures break down those larger particles, and then the microbes, the fungi and the bacteria kick in and convert that into minerals that the plant can then take up on a palatable level. So what we're going to do is replenish the soil, but at the same time give it a good prune over the top. And so I've taken out some of the dead wood, but instead of doing that only, I'm going to take to it with this. Now I'm going to use the Lowe's number 5 again, just reiterating that, because look how small they are. Okay, I'm going to try and prune this back down. What I want to do is take at least half of this off, even more if I can, bring it right down, because I want it to grow from the center out again. I want it to re-establish. I can grow in this older wood, which is fine, but most of it I think I'm going to discard as the new growth starts to come through and re-establish the head. I am using a secateurs, I am pruning these now, and I have been pruning the Kalanchoes now, which I said earlier, maybe a little bit early, but in fact, if you look at the dates, we're nearing the end of July, getting into August, which is the last month of winter, yes, but I'm anticipating, and I'm taking the chance that the weather's going to warm up in the next couple of weeks. So any damage that's been done to this already has been done to the foliage. It's not so much the wood itself. As you know, when it freezes over, the cell walls expand and they explode, and they never recover, obviously, so that's from freezing points. So I'm going to cut this back, and I'm hoping with the next 2 to 3 or 4 weeks, we get some new growth coming through. I might leave that little bit of good foliage on there, take all this spindly stuff off. Beautiful plant when it's in full flow, and this was a multicolour too, by the way. We had lots of different colours coming on here. Look at that. I've just taken out one of the roots, one of the stems that were lying down, it's touching the ground, and it's set up new little feeder roots on it because it was connected to the soil. So these do react quite well to a good prune and a good feed, and that's what we're going to do today. A lot of this wood is so frail because it's delicate basically, and it breaks away really easy. So you can use your fingers just running them through ever so carefully, not to rip it, just sort of run it through like a sort of leaf rake, and you'll find some of those pieces will just come out in your hands like that. They'll just break away as they are brittle. All right, so we've done that. Let's get to the top half. It's going to look nasty when I finish here, folks. Pretty much like my lemon tree. Yeah, we had frostbite as well, so we copped it a little bit on top, which isn't a good thing. I'm just going to hold off on this little piece here for a second, only because that's got some vibrancy in it, some green in it, and I like that. And that will help the plant somewhat recover a lot quicker than by taking all the leaves off. So even though they're yellow a little bit, they still have some energy in them to be able to photosynthesize. Hopefully we can get the green back into them, and that's going to happen from the ground up. It's just going to revigorate the plant's ability to grow again and rejuvenate new foliage and healthy growth. Jesus. Even when you're 6'2", you still can't get tall enough to be able to see everything. Now this does need some thinning out in the middle because we've got too many little spindly branches and they do rub against each other. And I am working a little bit too fast for myself. Just get rid of that. Get rid of that stem there. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So I am opening it up. It's not to be an open vase shape rather than a topiary, which is what the shape is that I'm trying to grow here. But we still have to thin it out a bit because too many branches. Nearly there. So folks, yep, I have hacked into it. Correct. But what I'm trying to do here is get some healthy growth on it, healthy new growth, not lots of weak growth. And that's what we've got here so far. We've got a lot of growth growing in all sorts of directions and obviously yellowing off as well. And a lot of these branches really won't recover to the full ability, you know, to the full potential again. So what I'm trying to do is re-establish new growth. Yes, I want it to be dense, but I want to have some control over that density so that the new branches are nice and clean and strong rather than brittle and semi-dry as we found it at the beginning. So this is another one we're going to come and visit again. Kind of like doing visits of my my garden adventures here, folks. It's not perfectly shaped only because I want the foliage there. I need some foliage on it. That will help it react a lot quicker than by taking every little leaf off. That's not too bad at the moment. It's not the best looking plant, but it's certainly not one that's going to die on me. Not under my watch. There we are. I think that's enough for now. Yeah, leave those on there. This is not the shape that I'm trying to establish, rather than just opening it up and giving it some air and obviously getting rid of the dead wood. Got rid of most of it. There we are. Now, this is a hard prune. Well, not the super hard prune. I could have gone right down here, folks, quite easily. Quite easily. I could take it right off there. Won't kill the plant. It'll sucker up from all along the stem here and as well up here, and then I can re-establish it again. But no, I'd rather keep these nice 1, 2, 3. This one may go, because, you know, we've got one too many growing there, but we'll leave that for now. See what happens there. Even though, look at that, that's a disgusting cut. You know what? It's gone. Now, and for some of you who are saying, but Vasily, you've been saying for years on end, never prune citrus hard all in one go. Yes, that's true, and that's still very valid. But what I'm giving you here is not a typical upright citrus tree like your lemon tree, orange, mandarin. This is a kumquat that's been grown into a topiary that's completely discoloured, lost its vibrancy, its energy, its colour, and we need to revigorate it sooner rather than later. We could have done a light prune and just simply fed it, taken the fruit off, and waited over 3, 6, 9 months for it to react. But by doing this, I reckon within the next 3 months, we should get a bigger reaction than we would if we did a lighter prune. And I can give you a demonstration on that. We've got this one over here. Now, this one here has always done better than that one that we just cut back. Although in recent times, this one also started to discolour. We gave it a very light top dress, but really that's about it. And we gave it a thinning out. Nothing like that as we've done it, so I'm admiring that now. That's pretty cool, actually. It's a different, I don't know what it looks like. It doesn't look like a topiary anyway. What you can do by comparison is just go around, and you're probably better using a head shear. You can use one like that goes like that, or there's one single hand one that has a blade. They're about 6 to 8 inches in length, the blades on them, and you can go around and trim it as you would trim a typical topiary. Take the tips off, as I am here. Now, because this one, I dare say, is a lot healthier by comparison, even though it's still yellowed off, nowhere near as severe as the other one, I think this one will react a lot better. But what I'm not going to do with this is thin out this nightmare in the middle. See what I do? I sacrifice my plants for you guys. In a normal situation, living at home and not a gardener that does a little bit of YouTube, I would not be doing this to my plants. I'd be looking after them. But I do this so I can experience what you sometimes experience. Not all of you, but some of you do. And those emails that come in and ask me how to fix it. So I practice what I preach to see the results. I don't practice all the time, but I try to. So this is an example in real time of what some of us would do at home, right? We'd go around like this, thinking that we're doing a great job. And in some cases, it is a good job. Maybe not the best, and there are better options, but doing something that, rather than doing nothing, is always going to give you a better result at the end. But that depends as well. Also, let me remind you, we are talking citrus here. We are not talking deciduous fruit trees, okay? We are not talking about plants that don't need to be fed in winter because they're dormant. We're talking about plants that are growing through this time of the year in winter and are fruiting and ripening tiny little fruit like this. Just showing you, we did harvest some fruit earlier on in the season, and we had some little new growth come through, maybe a caterpillar or two come through, and a bit of discoloration and burning on the tip there from the cold weather basically, folks, and the lack of fertilizing. There we are, take that fruit off there. See, that's a very light prune. It's still a little bit out of whack as far as the shape's concerned, a little bit longer on this side. And if you want to have a perfect topiary, I don't think the citrus trees should ever be grown in a topiary form. It's not their natural state. It's not an ornamental tree in that way where you can. And if you do grow it, you can eventually thin out the middle. It'll probably grow out and weep a bit more rather than sit upright, because once you get a lot of fruit on this, no matter how strong you think the branches are, they will weigh down and they will lose their shape. So they're not the perfect specimen, I suppose, for topiaries. Whoa, puppies, right at my feet. Get out of the way. So what I'm putting on this now as a fertiliser is our planting mix. Guess what? I haven't cracked the bag open yet. This is the first one that we're going to open. I wonder if the stuff inside is as good as the stuff that's in the other bags. You've got to be kidding me. Did I really say that? Oh yes, it opens up beautifully. And there we are. Look at that. This is your first view of our planting mix in our labelled bag, folks. First eyes are set on here. Now, why I'm putting the planting mix on here rather than just a superfood and black grit and all that sort of stuff is the organic matter that we've also added into this. Have a look at this. We've made sure this is super hydrated and perfect for the conditions that you want to be able to grow in. So you can plant anything in this or top dress anything in your garden pretty much, but I'm going to actually use it in a pot as well. As a light top dress, it's got the black grit compost, superfood, worm castings, charcoal, cocoa fibre, rice hulls. Oh, there's something else in there, I'm sure there is. But anyway, that's what we're putting. There we are, just a light top dress. If you want to use it as a potty mix, you can. We're working on a potty mix blend, but what you need to do is to blend it 50-50 with our cocoa, and you will have the perfect drainage. That's exactly what I did with the citrus tree, the lemon tree down in the grow bag. But we also mixed in some straw to give it that extra food source. So a light tress like this, and ideally I should have some mulch on top of this as well. No soil, whether in pots, outside or inside, should have or be exposed to light. It should not be exposed to the elements of nature for long periods of time. Why? Because outside especially, sun comes on, heats it up, dries it out, so all that life that's sitting in that surface there disappears within a matter of weeks, if not earlier. So a light blanket over the top with a bit of mulch. You can choose your mulch. You can use a bark if you like, a nice natural bark. You can even use pebbles, believe it or not. They're not too bad, but not too many, or a mulch on top like a straw or our bean straw. So that's what I'm doing here, doing the same thing on the other side, and we need to water it in. And I'll get the straw afterwards, folks. I didn't come prepared for that. So see how it's just, oh, that's what I want to see. Soaking in immediately. This is what we talk about when we say the good stuff. Don't complain, please don't complain when you see me doing this. I'm leaving the baby tears in there, only because I didn't plant them, and for me to scratch them out now, it's going to take way too long. And if I feed it well enough, it's multi-species planting. If you know what I'm talking about, you know I'm on a winner here. If you don't, you're going to learn all about it. Well, basically what it is having multiple plants growing in the same space, providing you give them enough fertiliser, organic that is, food source, and look after the soil well and give it a nice top dress, so they all don't have to compete, like these kumquat trees have been doing. So admittedly, these haven't been fed often enough, and enough of anything, and that's why they've struggled. And by doing this, we should be able to bring them back to life. And there we go. So a little bit of mulch on top, and the water on top of that is all we need. Now, folks, look after your citrus. I love my citrus, you know that. And if you haven't learned anything now from citrus, I'm sure you'll find more information on the website, on our website, I suppose, or our YouTube channel, or any platform there, because there's a lot of people out there who love their citrus and share some great tips and advice. In my case here, I'm showing you how to prune back some citrus, depending on which approach you want to take. Give it a go. Both will work, and you'll see a different result as we come back to visit these plants. Now, before I go, our clear skin bags, it's your last chance today. Get as many as you can now, because they're super discounted, because these ones with the coloured bags, the beautiful label and the fresh planting mix are going to go into circulation by the end of the week, and then they will clean skin bags. So they're very heavily discounted, is the word I'm trying to say. But more importantly, we're going to be in Thebarton as well this weekend. So if you're in South Australia and want to get your orders in, or come down and say hello to us at 103 Port Road, Thebarton. I'll be there Saturday and Sunday. Otherwise, check out our website, vasilisgarden.com. From me, Vasili, Maresi.